ISO FileMaker Magazine, the professional's resource for FileMaker know-how.
Hey there, Matt Petrowski here for ISO FileMaker Magazine, where you can always learn more about FileMaker Pro. You are here to learn about portal filtering, and I'm going to teach you. Let's take a look at the file and see what I'm talking about. Welcome to my desktop. As you can see, we've got the file right here, and we're going to take a look very quickly at how you can filter a portal. Now, you probably already know that the filtering portal option is on the portal when we double click, and we can see it right here, filter portal records. This is all you need to have, is this checked on, and then you actually go into your calculation. But let's take a look at the filter and how it works. In this particular file, I have an advanced filter. In fact, don't be worried that this file is called Advanced Portal Filtering. I'm going to be taking you from a very basic level up to as advanced as you want to go. To start off with, we have multiple different filters on this portal. In fact, there are 3. So when we look at this, maybe I want to find everybody that is in the orange team, but I also want to find people that are favorites. Let's choose something else. Let's go with blue, and then let's go with favorites and see if we've got something. We've got names with ON. So then let's put on a search. ON right there. So you can see we've done a complex 3 filter application to this particular portal. But that's not easy. That's super hard. Well, I shouldn't say super hard, but you definitely need to know how to break things down in order to get to the point where you can do this particular filter. Let's look at the most simple way of applying a filter and see how you can do that. So we are going to go into layout mode. I'm going to double click, and we're going to click on the calculation. Here in the calculation, you can see the most simple code. This is your answer right here. If you don't want to watch the rest of this video and you just want to filter a portal based on a single field, this is the best way to do it. And I'll tell you why. First off, we are using a global field. That global field means that user A is not going to see the same thing in a portal that user B is on the same FileMaker solution. We have to use a global field. We cannot use a local field. Now you can see right here that I've got 2 different fields, search and found. Now what I do in my FileMaker systems is I identify and distinguish between global fields or unstored calculations and regular fields. All of my regular fields are in lowercase, and then my global fields and my calculated fields, if it's unstored calculated field, are made in all caps. Just makes it easier for me to distinguish. But here's how the calculation works. A portal filter needs to evaluate on every single record in the portal. So in this particular database, I have a portal that is showing all other records from the same table, and there happens to be 16 of them. For each and every record of the 16, an evaluation needs to be made, meaning FileMaker has to make a request upon each record that it meets your criteria according to your calculation. So in this case, what we're going to say is we have a condition. We're using an if statement, and we say if the search field right here is not empty, then that means we want you to use this criteria right here across each and every record. Otherwise, the default is if the search field does not have any values in it, we're just going to default to true, meaning every single record, are you a record? True, I'm a record, then show yourself. In the case when we have a value within the search field, what we're saying is we want to use the position function. Aha. Now maybe you've used one of FileMaker's other very familiar functions, and that is PatternCount. PatternCount is not necessarily a good choice, and I'll show you why. But let's talk about how this is actually working. First off, we're looking at the name field. In this case, we're searching the name field or a notes field or whatever. And we're saying we want you to look for the first time that you come across the position of the value that I have in the search field. So with the search that we just did, which I believe was ON, we were looking at the name field for the first position of the ON field. Well, let's type a string out and see what happens here. I'll take the word Matt is a matter of fact guy right there. So for this string, if we were to use the pattern count, we have to think about what pattern count has to do. In this context, pattern count would have to say, I am looking across the name field and I am looking for the value that is, for the search string, the search. So let's take MA as our value here. Well, pattern count has to start here. I found MA at position 0. This is position 0 within this string. But I have to keep going, have to go through this text. I found another match for MA. Well, I have to keep going, and I'm going to go through and find this. Oh, I didn't find any other MAs. But what the pattern count had to do was it had to go across the whole string just in order to find out whether we had a match. That is going to be less efficient than if we say, I want you to find the position. In fact, just the first position, because it supplies this start value and the occurrence value. If we only say, I want you to find starting at character number 1 and the very first occurrence, we're telling FileMaker we don't care what happens after you find the first position. So in this particular case, position will say, I found an MA at position 0. Nothing else needs to be done. It does not need to evaluate the rest of this text. So if you're ever performing some type of matching or searching function, remember that the position is going to be better or more optimized than using the pattern count. So that's the first tip that you'll walk away with from this video. And if you really don't want any other information about how to perform a search and you just want to search across notes and a name field or whatever you want to filter on, that's your solution right there. You can leave this video and be done with it. But if you want to learn how to do more advanced filtering, then we're going to walk through that throughout the rest of this video. All right, are you ready to learn more about advanced filtering? Well, just a quick little pause here. If this video is helping you out and you're watching this on YouTube, please feel free, if you have any type of questions regards to a portal filter that you are trying to do, leave them down below and I might be able to get back and actually answer your specific question. Also, if you have suggestions with regards to portal filtering, leave those down below as well. And if this video has helped you out, make sure and give it a like, and you can always subscribe. If you want more videos like this, you can find them over at FileMakerMagazine.com. All right, so let's get into the details. An advanced portal filter simply requires that you break things down into all of its individual components, and it's very easy to get confused very quickly. But if you take this approach, you'll find out that it's actually quite easy in order to do a very complex multi-filter filter on your portal. So let's go into layout mode. First off, why did I do this? Why do I have a single custom function? That's how I was trying to think of what the word was for this. Why do I have a single custom function doing the filter here on this one portal? Well, it just so happens that this particular file, which you can access by following the link down in the description in YouTube, over to the magazine website, you'll be able to download this file for free and dig into it. It actually uses some other advanced techniques that I'm giving to you for free because this shows you the type of content that you get over on FileMakerMagazine.com. It turns out that I have a portal right here, which is a hidden portal, and I shot a previous video talking about how to mark records and how to do it successfully without having to use separate windows and so forth, and that's what's going on in this video. So because I have two portals, which if you're interested in the reasoning behind two portals of why I have this one, and why they have the exact same filter, such as portal filter, it makes it easy. I can have all of my code in one single place. But the way that I composed this code was I did it all within this dialog. So I did it all within this calculation dialog box right here. I just then copied all of it and then put it into a custom function, knowing that I was using it on more than one portal, in fact, in this case, two. So anytime that you have the same code in multiple places, you don't want to duplicate that code. You want to put it in one single place. So I'm going to go grab the code and I'm going to show you exactly how to break things down for a complex multi-filter approach to portal filtering. We'll go over to the manage and we'll go to the custom functions, which is where I'm going to find all of the code. In this file, if you'd like to do exactly what I'm doing here on screen, it will work and you will be able to play with this as desired. Now, it turns out that FileMaker's custom functions are not just for custom functions. You can use a custom function which really doesn't care and will take context into account. So in this case, I've copied that. We'll go back over to the portal filter. We'll go back in right here, and then we will paste this. Now, this is where we are going to see that things get pretty confusing. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to make sure and double check that the filter is working. I say blue, let's say red, put on my favorites, and I'll put in JE in order to get Genie right there. I'll click my reset. It resets. I'm getting my record counts. Everything's working great. So for the remainder of this video, we are going to take a look at what you might consider, especially if you're a beginner or intermediate, a advanced or comprehensive look at some functions that maybe you haven't used. Now, as you saw at the very beginning of this video, within the first 5 minutes, I showed you the most simple of a portal filter. It's right here and it's super easy. We use a global field. We turn on the return and the enter key in the data tab in the inspector for that field, and we use an on-object save trigger. So, what do we do when we have a complex set of rules for portal filtering? Well, we have to think of this in terms of the matrix that it is. We are performing 3 different types of filters on this one portal, and we need to keep them distinctly separate from each other. We can't mix them. If we do, then it gets really confusing in our own minds what's going on and how the filter is acting. In order to do a complex filter, you have to learn FileMaker's let function. If you do not learn this function right here, let, it is going to be extremely hard for you to do anything beyond just the most basic of filters. If you want to do complex things in FileMaker, you must learn the let and you must learn case. So the way that works is simple. It's like this. The case statement takes things in order of priority. The case statement says, if this is met, then I'm going to use this as my criteria. If this one is met, then I'll use this one. And it just goes down the line as it evaluates. So the first condition that we want to account for is the one that is the most complex. It includes all of the possible filters. Then from there, we need to have all of the different possible situations where we can have this or that or this or this one and that one. That's all you have to account for. The rest of it is simply a matter of breaking things down into the smallest components that identifies what your match is for your criteria. So first off, we need to determine whether a particular filter is on or not. Now remember, we started with a global field. A global field is really easy because it's unique to the user that's using it. User A can't see what user B is seeing, and so forth, but it does add to all of the different list of fields that we need. You need to think to yourself, do I always need a field to actually cause some type of thing to happen within FileMaker? And it turns out you don't. If you have not started using them, a global variable is something that only exists in FileMaker while the solution is open and being used by a user. When the solution is closed down, that value goes away and it's stored completely in memory. So this makes it really convenient because we're only performing this filter while the FileMaker solution is open. So instead of using a global field for whether or not the favorites was on and whether or not a color was selected, I decided to use global variables. And I keep them distinctly separate. Notice how simple this logic is. In my let statement, I'm saying we're going to declare a variable called filter search on. Now don't be confused by the tilde right here. That's just a character that I choose to use that makes it easy for me to distinguish out of all of this code what is my local variable versus, let's say, what could be a field. If I add a field right here of my favorite, I can see right there that the word favorite appears, but if I know that there is a tilde in front of it, say right here, I want that value right there, then that identifies that differently than what is in front of it normally, which are the double colons. So here I know that this very clearly is a value that is a field value, as opposed to something that is just a variable within this let function. Again, if you haven't used the let function, go ahead and look that up. Search the FileMaker magazine. It is absolutely powerful. So here's the exact same code that we saw before. If the field search is not empty, that means that that user is using that particular filter. So the filter search is on. And this, again, is a great tip when you're working in FileMaker. Name things very descriptive of what they do. Next, if I have a value, or let's say multiple values, let's say I'm looking for the values of blue and red, both of those values could be within a global variable stored within memory. So if that is not empty, then that means that the filter for color is on. Next filter. If I have filter.favorite set to true, any value other than 0 would be true. So in this case, I've got a Boolean value in here. So by default, the filter favorite is on if filter.favorite is anything other than 0. And you can see in the scripts, when you take a look at those, that I'm simply switching it from 0 to 1. And by saying just if this value exists and it's not 0, that means it's true. Now the next one is how we determine how many filters are on. This is where it comes into play with our case statement. By simply just saying, take the filter search on, add that to the filter color on and the filter favorite on, and however many other options you have. You could go up to 4 filters, 5 filters, 6 filters. Just remember, for every filter that you add onto a portal, however much more complex you make it, that makes your matrix that much wider. That means you have that many more different variations or conditions that you need to account for. So now what we're going to do is, after we've set up whether or not the filters are on and getting a count of the total number of filters that are on, we simply need to say on each row in this portal, what is valid when you match for this particular filter. So just like we had 3 of the different filters, we need to have 3 different possible matches, and that's what we've got right here. So for the colors, we're going to use this particular calculation right here. We're using a filter values. In other words, we're going to look at the contents of what's in the global field of the filter. Let's take the word blue. If looking at the field where the color is held, if the color of blue, and we compare it against the colors that are listed in the global field, the global variable that includes blue, if we filter those values and we find out that blue matches blue, then that means it's not going to be empty, and we have a match. If blue is on a particular record and blue is in the color, or excuse me, if orange is the color and blue is what the user specified for that particular record, it will be empty, so this will not match. So it's either going to be one or the other. There's no other options. We do the same thing for the favorites. We say, looking at the favorite field, if you are true, meaning you have a value of 1 and you match what's in the global variable of the favorite, then that means you match. That particular record does. And for the search, we already saw that we use the position in favor of the pattern count, and that's it. All of our code in a let function is up here at the top, and it's only specified once. That is a very big key to making things much easier to understand in FileMaker. Many new or even intermediate developers will put this code sprinkled all throughout all of their conditions, and that makes it so confusing, where the let function really simplifies things down because all of your little bits of code are only in one place. By having the filter and having the match, separating the two, we're now able to combine all of the different possible options that happen within our matrix. So we can see right here, we simply say if there is a filter count of 3, meaning the user has turned on or is using the color filter, the favorite filter, and the search filter, then what we're going to do is we're going to say that this particular row must match the search filter, must match the color filter, and must match the favorite filter. By combining all of them simply by using the operator of and, you must match search and colors and favorite. You are a record that you are permitted to show yourself within the portal. And that's simply how it works. The rest of it I'm going to leave up to you because it pretty much makes sense. If I have 2 values and that the search is on and the color is on, then we're going to simply match on those 2 values. If we have 2 filters and it's the search on and the favorite on, then we're going to use those 2 filters. And that's how simple it breaks down. These 2 accounted for the search. Then we need a third that doesn't account for search, which this one has the absence of search. So if the color is on and the favorite is on, then the search being on, these 2 options will be bypassed, and this is where the case actually evaluates. Remember, everything happens in the order from the top down with a case statement. If all 3 aren't on, then that means it's one of the 2. If it's one with 2 and there is no search, then these are bypassed and we go to this one. And then finally, we account for all of our filters where there's a possibility of only 1. And as long as you use the case statement to account for all of your different variations, and at the very end, you choose true, meaning you're a record, true, show yourself, you are going to be able to easily accomplish this advanced filter. And that's pretty much how simple it is. Okay, and for the rest of this video, I'm just going to go through some of the details, that is the scripts and a few of the settings that we have, just in case I didn't cover those and you're a newer FileMaker developer and you're learning and don't understand everything that's going on, even though you can get this file and take it apart. And again, if you like this video, show your support by giving me a thumbs up. Definitely, if you have something to say, leave a comment down below. Let me interact with you. If you have questions, I can answer those, and it may help someone else out as well. Okay, let's go through our scripts. In this solution, we have a lot of things going on. When we go into layout mode, you need to know that FileMaker needs to update individual things when things happen. So one of the most important scripts in this particular solution, in the scripts, is the filter refresh that we have right here. We need to refresh objects. Now I have more than just the portal that needs to refresh. We can see right here that right off the top, we've got a refresh portal. We've named that portal using the very first tab. If you're unfamiliar with that, we select the portal. We go to this first tab area right here in the inspector, and we can see that we've given it the convenient name of portal.colors. This, by the way, is just a trick that I like to use. Anything that is specific to FileMaker terminology, I tend to give that the prefix of a name because it makes it much easier for me to identify what's what within scripts that get really long and complex. I know I'm dealing with a portal, and it happens to be the portal that was called colors. This is before I added names and favorites, etc., etc. I should probably call this portal teams or something to that effect. You can rename that if you want. But I also have these different items right here, such as this bar that needs to be refreshed because some of these drop in and drop out based on the fact that that little hide icon is right there, plus the conditional formatting. All of that needs to be updated. So I am refreshing this object, which this object is named bar.colors. I'm also refreshing the object of UI.found. Now this is a trick right here where I'm using a locally scoped variable in order to show the count of records based on the filter that is applied. If this is confusing and you'd like to learn more about this technique, you can search the magazine website. I won't go into it into detail right now. So this refresh means that anytime something is going to happen, I need to refresh the portal and all of these different objects. So when we look at something like this right here, the toggling of a value, on this button, we're performing a script of a toggle Boolean. Now, this is what's known as a utility script, and I talk about this in many of my other videos on the magazine website. It is one script that allows me to toggle multiple different things. In fact, some of the videos you find, I may have just been toggling just a field, but I extend this script sometimes in order to toggle either a field or a global variable. And you can see right here, I am passing in a global variable, or the name of filter.favorite, in terms of whether I want to turn that favorite filter on or not. I am using it also in other areas of the solution, and these utility scripts are really convenient. I won't go over it. I'll leave it for you to actually go through when you download the video, or the file, but I'll show it on the video right here so that you can take a look. This is a utility script that performs multiple things, but you can see at the end of this utility script, it is performing the script of the filter refresh. Likewise, we have other things, the filter colors right here. If you are interested, this filter with this bar field accounts for actually adding new colors into this particular file, and it's dynamic. If you're interested in more information about this, again, search the FileMaker magazine and you'll find more details. But I'll go ahead and do it right here really quickly. We'll add in a new record. We'll call this record Bob. And we will add in the new color of black here into this, and then we will click out. Now, as soon as I click out, notice that what's going to happen is this bar actually will get the new value, instantly making black filterable, and there it is, Bob right there. If I added in another new record of Harry, and I put him in the color of black, which here's a tip, by the way. You can always get a list of all of the values that are in a current field by using the index, which is Command or Control-I. And by bringing that up right there, I can see right off the bat, by viewing the index, that black is an option. I double-click and it enters in right for me, so I didn't even have to type it. And right away, Harry will show up in that portal. Super convenient. Pretty cool, huh? Also in here, we've got a reset script. You can see that the reset, I should mention, the filter colors, by the way, has 3 different options. I can filter absolute. We can see right there on the note. I can filter variably, meaning I choose one. I choose black, blue, or it is one or the other. They are mutually exclusive. Or if I turn this one off by commenting, that's on the Macintosh, Command/ or Control/ on Windows. If I turn on this variation of filtering, this one is a cumulative filter, meaning if I go over here and I actually select on blue and black, I believe, nope, it's not actually working for some reason. I'll have to get in and take a look at that to see why that might not be working right there. Filter, that's why. I needed to rename the variable. It's very easy to make this mistake. I'll go ahead and do that really quickly on screen. Why not? So filter color is what I had named this to, renamed this to. So we'll change this to filter color, and I need to do it likewise inside of the filter. And there we go. I'll need to make sure and update that. Let's go ahead and update it for all of them right here on screen. There we go, so that it actually works for you. So now it should be cumulative. Nope. Are you going to do that for me? I believe I saved the script. I may have to do this while I'm not recording and actually get this to work. But for the purpose of demonstration, what would happen is you select black, and it would stay and filter based on black. You also select blue. You could also select orange. It would basically be a cumulative filter that adds all of the colors into the filter, and the list grows as you add the items. Silly me, you probably saw this while I was recording the video. I simply had this commented out, and I didn't actually, I made the change to the code, but I didn't uncomment the code so that it worked and saved the script. But there you go. You can select blue. It's inclusive. So here I've got orange and black, and across, let's make that favorite. So there you can see I've got orange and black. Really, this portal filtering becomes so much more powerful when you understand how simple it is by keeping things separated and breaking them down, and then you can get as complex as you want and account for all your different matrices and all of your different variations. But let's see if I missed anything else in here. Reset filters is simply just going to clear all of your filters. You make a very easy button that will simply reset everything. And resetting is simply just setting it to a value of empty or null. Another tip, if you didn't know, you don't actually have to have a value in here. If you want to set a field to empty and you simply just use a set field with no value, or if you use an empty value with a global variable, it will simply clear that. So when I see a set variable in FileMaker that does not have a value, I know that that is basically a kill or delete that particular variable. It's almost the exact same thing as setting a double set of quotes, but if you didn't know that, you don't have to do that. And in this particular case, I am specifically setting the filter favorite to a value of 0 or false, and then of course, refreshing that filter. So we get the ability to, if we had DA in here, we are filtering David, Team Orange, filtered, even though black is excluded because of my search filter. I click reset and everything comes back and I get all of my 18 records. So I hope throughout the course of this video, taking a look at these scripts, you've been able to get a good idea of the type of quality there that I provide over at FileMakerMagazine.com. I hope this video has taught you how to do advanced filtering and also solved your immediate problem of a quick filter. I'd like to wish you much luck with your own FileMaker development, and until next time, happy FileMaking.
We hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial, and we'd like to say thank you for your subscription and your support. If you're not already a subscriber, head on over to www.FileMakerMagazine.com/subscribe for more information about the benefits of joining.